When I first heard about cottage cheese ice cream, I thought it was crazy until I tried it, and it is crazy amazing. So I'm showing you how to make my salted caramel banana cottage cheese ice cream. It's ready in less than 2 hours and doesn't require an ice cream maker. To elevate this creamy, delicious ice cream and make it extra chunky, I'm going to show you how to make homemade gluten-free vanilla wafer bits. And I'll also show you how to make a really simple salted caramel sauce with almond butter and maple syrup. And there's not a gram of processed white sugar in sight. This entire recipe is naturally sweetened with bananas and maple syrup. And if you're like me, you might be wondering, is this healthier than traditional ice cream? As a bonus, at the end of this video, I'll answer this very important question. But I must warn you, you can't unsee this. To make our vanilla wafer bits, we're going to start with 3/4 of a cup of almond flour. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of tapioca flour. And then we'll add 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, as well as 1 tablespoon of oil. And I like to use extra light olive oil. To get that distinctive vanilla flavor, we'll add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And I also really like to add almond extract. And I'm just going to use the lid to measure out 1/4 of a teaspoon. And then we'll add just a dash of salt. And we'll just take our spatula and we're going to mix this together. And in just a few strokes, we're going to have this really soft and fun vanilla wafer dough. I can already smell that vanilla flavor. That smells amazing. And once you've mixed your dough, you can test whether or not you have enough flour by taking a little bit in your hand and seeing if you're able to roll it into a ball. So that looks just a little bit too moist, so I'm going to go ahead and just throw in about another tablespoon of almond flour. And then I'll mix that in just to dry it out just a little bit more. There we go, that looks much better. Now to make our vanilla wafer bits, I'm just going to spread out a sheet of parchment paper, and I'm going to grab some butter, and then I'm just going to first take off any rings, and then I'm going to add a little bit of butter to my hands just to make them a little bit more slippery. And then I'm just going to break off about a tablespoon of dough and just roll it into a ball. And then I'm just going to flatten that out onto my parchment paper. Now keep in mind, these don't have to be pretty because we're going to be breaking these up into our ice cream. So we're just wanting to form them into these cookie sizes that are just easy to manage, easy to cook, and then easy to break up. But we do want to press them out so they're fairly even in their thickness. And now that we've formed all of our cookies and washed the butter off of our hands, I'm going to go ahead and slip this onto our cookie sheet. And then this will go into a 350-degree oven for 13 minutes. Here's a tray that I cooked earlier, and you can see that they're lightly browned around the sides and a little bit on the bottom. And we want these to be on the crispy side because they'll be absorbing moisture from the ice cream. And now we're going to make our salted caramel sauce. And we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of almond butter. I'm going to put this into a bowl. And then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of maple syrup as our natural sweetener. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. And we're using coconut oil because once it cools, it solidifies. And then to add a little bit additional flavor, we'll add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of almond extract. I'm just using the lid. And of course, we want to add a good dash of salt. Now we'll just take our fork and we'll mix those together. Oops. Hopefully get more inside the bowl than outside. So now we have this nice, thick and creamy caramel sauce, which I think has even more flavor than a traditional caramel sauce. And you get the benefit of the healthy fats, and there isn't any high fructose corn syrup or processed white sugar. And now we can make our ice cream, and we're going to start with 2 ripe bananas. And since I'm using my NutriBullet, it's going to mix everything together, and so we do not have to mash these first. So go ahead and add those inside. And you'll want your bananas to be a little bit on the ripe side, but not so ripe that they have lots of soft spots inside of them. But these are perfect. And then we're going to add 1½ cups of cottage cheese. And you can add small curd, I should probably use a spatula, but you can use small curd or large curd or whatever is on sale. And you can use low fat, full fat, non-fat, whatever your preference. And to sweeten it, we're going to add 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup. And for flavor, we'll add a teaspoon of vanilla, and we'll add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we simply screw on our lid, and then we place our cup on top of our blender. We push it down and twist. just like that, we have this delicious, creamy ice cream, which kind of looks like a smoothie at this point. And next, we're going to take a shallow dish, and then we're going to simply pour our ice cream inside. A shallow dish is great because it doesn't take as long to freeze, which means I get to eat it quicker. Now is the fun part. So I have about 4 of our vanilla wafer cookies, and I'm just going to simply break them up into pieces and scatter them throughout the ice cream. And you can make them small or big or whatever your preference. But this is just going to add such a delicious crunch to this ice cream and just that classic vanilla wafer flavor. I don't know about you, but as a kid, I loved having vanilla wafers in like a banana pudding. So this is going to replicate that flavor profile. But then of course, we're kicking it up several notches by adding the salted caramel. Your kids would love to help you with this step, unless you're having way too much fun yourself. I ended up using half of the cookies that we baked, so now I have enough for my second batch later. And now we get to add the salted caramel gooiness. And so we're gonna simply just start drizzling it into our ice cream. Smells absolutely delicious. And it just looks gooey and sticky and exactly what we want. Depending on the temperature of your kitchen, your caramel may have started to solidify. So if you find that it's a little bit too thick to pour, just go ahead and put it in your microwave for about 20 to 30 seconds to warm it up, and then it will thin out for you. So mine is kind of right on the verge. And you can determine if you want to add the entire batch, or you can stop when you think you have enough. I don't know, can you ever have enough caramel sauce? And then now I'm gonna add just a little sprinkling of some coarse salt, just to give it that classic flavor. So now I'm gonna take my spatula and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a stir, because I want to sink the cookies and the caramel to make that beautiful marbled texture throughout my ice cream. That looks so good. And there is nothing wrong with a little sample, just for quality control. That is gonna be amazing. So now this can go into the freezer for at least 2 hours or until it sets. Well, here's a batch that I made earlier in a shallow dish, and that looks absolutely incredible. So now we're gonna go ahead and dish this up. Oh my goodness. Get that gorgeous roll of ice cream. Oh, that looks chunky and amazing. Go ahead and put this into a bowl. Now for the best part. Make sure I get a bite with all the flavors. That is delicious. That tastes even better than it looks. I get the creamy ice cream and then the bands of the caramel sauce with that little bit of almond nutty flavor. And then I get those yummy chunks of vanilla wafer cookies and then the sweetness of the banana. So it's absolutely amazing, and you have to give this a try. Now to answer the very important question of whether or not it's healthier than traditional ice cream. So I have about a ½ cup scoop here of a very popular salted caramel ice cream, and it is sweetened with liquid sugar, sugar water, brown sugar, corn syrup. This ice cream has 36 grams of sugar in a ½ cup serving, whereas our ice cream has about 18 grams of sugar, which is equal to about 4.5 sugar cubes. And I painted them brown just to represent the fact that these are natural sugars. And the traditional ice cream has about 6 grams of protein, whereas our recipe has about 12 grams. So is our ice cream the healthier option? Yes, because it's naturally sweetened. It has less sugar, which means it's going to have a lower mark on the glycemic index. It's also higher in protein. Now, sugar is sugar and it is a treat, so you will need to eat it in moderation. But I promise every single bite is going to be incredible. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me in my kitchen today to make this delicious ice cream. And if you'd like to see the recipe card for this video, please visit my website, gentletummy.com. And you can also check out my other cottage cheese ice cream flavor recipes. They are all equally fantastic. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have a friend who loves ice cream who could use a healthier option, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you in my kitchen again next time.